Okay, I'm going to start with, and let's just get right to it. J.J. McCarthy's hurt. He's out for a year. Did they think initially when that happened that it was going to be so severe, the meniscus tear?
You know, I'll say this to you. It was on Monday night, you hear that he's not practicing, that he's got some discomfort in the knee. And I thought, that's not a good sign. And then on Tuesday morning, it was very odd. I started getting a flood of messages from a flood of different people on Instagram. And believe me, that's not how I usually get my information. But all of a sudden, all these people were sending me these messages that J.J. McCarthy was out for the year. And I'm like, out for the year? And I started making calls. Now, their information was partially correct because they said he had a torn MCL, out for the year. There were multiple messages I got. When I started making calls, I could tell something was wrong. And it turned out that he had a meniscus injury, and the doctor's surgery was going to determine whether it was going to be a trim, which would have been weeks, or a repair, which would have been months. But I will say going in, my suspicion was it was going to be a repair because I had so many messages. And I think that they had some hope that they would be able to trim it. But once they went in there, they figured that the best course of action for a young player like that with a great future is to repair it. And that's what they did, and he's out for the year. Once you put him on IR, he's done for the season. He's shut down, so that's it.
Adam, when you get the info, what's the process before you go public with it? You're like, oh, I got the info. Do you go immediately, or we got to start?
Well, you got to make sure that everything's accurate. You have to confirm it all and make sure that it's right. I'm not going to just put out information when these fans are indiscriminately bombing me with this information that JJ's out for the year, because ultimately that turned out to be the case, but there were steps to get through before you could actually say he's out for the year. Again, first he's got the knee discomfort. Then he's having the MRI on Monday night. Then they're going to have knee surgery for Wednesday morning. Then they have to figure out what they have to do. Then they see he's out for the year. So there's a lot of steps. It's not just as simple as a black and white situation.
With the Dallas Cowboys, they've got 3 contracts. All 3 of those contracts will be massive contracts. Will they be able to afford anybody else? Will they play 3-man football?
You know, you could do that. I would say this, that if the Dak deal gets done, and we'll see whether it does or it doesn't, that's going to be the one that cuts into their ability to spend on other players, because that deal is going to be so massive.
But would that be before the CeeDee Lamb or the Micah deal, though?
I'd be surprised. I know Dak struck a tone on Friday where he was saying talks were going well, he's in a great spot. Dak's in a great spot, period. Whether he does the deal in Dallas now, before the season, during the season, after the season, or with another team. Like, Dak is going to be, when that deal gets done, whether it's Dallas or anybody else, he's going to become the highest paid player in NFL history. So he's in a great spot.
But they're going to have to do some origami to figure out how to pay all those guys, right?
They knew the CeeDee Lamb deal is coming. And you're talking about arguing over $1 million or $2. Like, that deal's getting done, and they knew what it was going to be. They know the Dak deal is coming if they can get it done. The Micah Parsons deal, Jerry's been talking about for over a year now. So it's not like these deals are blindsiding them. It's just going to restrict
He's getting a message right now.
I love it.
All right, we got breaking news.
It's just going to restrict their ability.
Breaking news.
He's ignoring us.
Pick up a pot roast. Oh, never mind. It's from home.
And trash bags.
It's all good.
Yes.
Hey, Adam, the phones. I've always been interested in the phones. You have how many phones on you at all times? 2? 3?
I have 2 phones right now. I have this phone, and my daughter's actually manning the other phone right there. She's taking pictures to post Instagram stories.
So that one's not for the.
That one, yeah. So one is. I mean, what's how do you give someone? Which number do you give them first? Is it personal,
this
business?
is my primary phone. My secondary phone, I'm not even sure of the number, to be honest with you. And like, you know what? Like the J.J. McCarthy, when he was having the knee surgery, I had everything. It was on this phone, and I went to go file it. I was in the airport in Boston on Wednesday, and nothing was going through. And I'm pressing send for 10 minutes, like, and it's just a line. Like, it won't post. I'm like, go, post. And it wasn't posting, so I had to retype everything on my other phone and then send it out on the other phone. That's
classic
Schefter
problems.
That's why I have a second phone, because, you know, this one is, I don't even know who the provider is. One of them is Verizon, one of them is AT&T, and you have different phone carriers, different issues like that, and that's how you do it.
Anyone with a tip can text them now. 21. No, we don't know your number. So wouldn't that be fun to give out his
awesome.
number, like an 800 hotline number? Let's talk about Joe Burrow for a second. Not a typical quarterback injury, the last one. He's been hurt every year. Do they consider him injury prone or very unlucky? And let's say he gets hurt again. Then do they go, well, what's up? Do they go and look for another quarterback, to draft a young
No, I don't think so. First of all, I think Jake Browning's a pretty good quarterback, his backup, and they committed so much money to Joe Burrow. He's your guy, and you're not moving off Joe Burrow, even if he gets hurt again, unless it was some catastrophic injury that would hinder his ability to come back and be the quarterback long term. Like, he's the guy, and you're going to ride him until he can't play anymore.
But what if the horse doesn't have any legs?
Well, he's got legs. He's got legs.
No hand, no arms.
He's got arms.
Yeah.
He's got all those things. They're working. Like, you could say that for any player.
But not Joe. I love Joe Burrow, and it's you can say that for some, but Joe's hurt. It's like freak stuff consistently. Even at training camp last year when he pulls up, and the debate is, what did he do? Did he lose his leg? Did he sprain his ankle? And then the injury that took him out at the end of those aren't typical get hit on a play or pull a hamstring injuries. So Joe Burrow, they still have the same faith that he can stay healthy and be the guy?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and again, you have to build around him anyway. It's like the Jets with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, you may be
your only option.
You may be worried that he's 40 years old. What are you going to do? Like, that's your guy. You committed the money. You committed the resources. You committed the time. He's your guy. But again, I think you could say that for every quarterback in the NFL. We come up with it. What happens if this guy gets hurt? What happens if that guy can't play this year?
But Burrow's been hurt every 5 minutes.
I got it. But you know what? Aaron Rodgers last year is coming off his torn Achilles. He's 40. Dak Prescott came off a fractured ankle that time. Like, we could say that for a lot of people. Mahomes has had ankle injuries and calf and dislocated kneecaps. Like, it's a violent sport. Guys are going to get hurt.
That I agree with. But it's just Burrow just got hurt again, I heard. Nope, never mind. I just thought I'm so used to hearing it. All right, final 3 questions, Adam. Go ahead.
Yes.
Yeah, Adam, so you were talking about Aaron Rodgers. How much fun is it to cover Aaron Rodgers and how weird he is?
From other weird people. We mean weird.
Sure, weird. We're all
interesting.
weird.
Interesting.
I don't view it like that. I view it like last year, he goes out there, everybody in New York is all excited to see what he's going to do. Jet fans, actually thought that there's a chance for the first time in 50 some odd years that this team's going to get back to the Super Bowl, and they didn't. I think, honestly, people wanted to see him play and want to see what he could do for that team, that organization, this city, and they want to see him be out there. I want to see him play. Like, I'm forget about covering him. There's a lot of quarterbacks to cover. He's an interesting guy. He's got some interesting things to say, but you want to see him out there ultimately. We're interested in him because he's a great quarterback, and we didn't get to see him play quarterback last year. That's the problem. We want to see him play. He could say whatever he wants. We could debate the merits of it. It's all about his play. He's one of the great all-time quarterbacks. That's what you want to see.
Final 2 questions. What's a fair ceiling for Caleb Williams and the Bears?
Fairly high. Like, I don't know if they're going to win a lot this year. I don't want to get ahead of it. But number one, I think C.J. Stroud kind of raised the bar for rookie quarterbacks. But this guy is incredibly gifted. Now, let's see how fast he can respond. Last year with C.J. Stroud was an abnormality. Rookie quarterbacks do not usually do that type of thing. But Caleb Williams has got a ton of talent, and we'll see how it's harvested in his first year.
If Caleb Williams did not exist, would Jaden be like the dude we talked about? Like, can he?
We still might be talking about him even with Caleb Williams, because there's been enough chatter about Jaden Daniels and what he can and can't do, and there's enough hope and promise for him that, I'm not going to be shocked if we come out of this being like, wow, Jaden Daniels is incredible.
Bonus question. Speaking of Jaden Daniels, let's go to the Giants. Malik Neighbors, they played at LSU together.
Yeah.
Like, they were awesome together.
He's a dude.
Because that's the reports. Like, even with Daniel Jones, let's say he's just okay.
Hey, let me tell you something. I remember being at the Combine. I'm sitting at dinner with the general manager, and he goes, let me tell you a couple of things right now. I don't care what other people say. Malik Neighbors is the #1 wide receiver in this draft, ahead of Marvin Harrison Jr. And when I heard him say it, I'm like, really? And then I heard it again and again and again. And there were people that obviously stood behind Marvin Harrison Jr. And Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to have a great NFL career. This is not a knock against Marvin Harrison Jr. in any way, shape, or form. Love the guy. I'm just saying there were people out there who felt like Neighbors was the top receiver. There were people out there who thought Harrison was the top receiver. But it was not a unanimous situation, and that tells you that both guys are in line to have great NFL seasons and careers.
Adam, we really appreciate it. Big fans.
My
Thank
pleasure.
you very much.
Thank you,
very
man.
much, guys. My pleasure.